Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Lots of questions were answered by devs on Spectrum about various different mechanics and tech for the game, which I'm going to summarise. I also want to take a quick look at 3.1.4J, the latest Star Citizen PTU patch, and at the end I want to do a quick call to action about buying ships in-game with Alpha UEC. So, Star Citizen patch 3.1.4J is out on the PTU servers. It's got a testing focus of GravLev function for both bikes and ESP in combat. The Nox and Dragonfly should no longer roll unintentionally 360 degrees on transition between SCM and HOV mode. The bikes also should no longer consume extra quantities of fuel when in HOV mode. Fixed a bug as well, causing ESP to oscillate around the target. 3.1.4 is very quickly becoming my favourite patch as it's addressing issues with the flight model, core combat and space bikes on the ground. Once that's dialed in, it should go to a live build shortly. Matt Sherman talked about the Hammerhead and how he saw it performing in the game. He said, the Hammerhead will be potent, sure, but at the same time it's very much getting that potency from its manned turrets. So unless you have a crew manning all of those turrets, working together and communicating well, it'll just be a big ship flying around. Plus, to really try and bring all those guns to bear on a single target, you'll be exposing the belly and back of the ship, and if an attack is coming from one side, that other side is going to be even more exposed. Eventually, there'd be NPCs you could hire, sure, but safe bet is they won't be available when the Hammerhead is first made flight ready, and on top of that, just hiring an NPC wouldn't mean you'd have direct control over their weapons. They'll still be doing NPC decisions, firing, etc. when all is said and done. In the speculative combat, just focus your attack on the back end of the Hammerhead, where its weapons have the least overall coverage for best possible results. It's still a potent ship, but no ship is going to be a bland I win ship. There's always going to be trade-offs. So some good info about the Hammerhead there. I'm very much looking forward to it being in the game. I love the idea that it's a defensive patrol ship. Obviously it can be used offensively as well, but the way I see it being used is defending from torpedoes, potentially even landing on the ground to defend bases that are being built, or as quick ground response, that sort of stuff as well. So there's certainly some interesting ways of using that Hammerhead, and I can't wait for it to be in game. Some questions were asked recently about ray casting and tracing tech. The exact question that was asked was, will you be utilizing any of the new tech from NVIDIA and AMD? The NVIDIA RTX and AMD's Super SIMD in regards to ray casting tracing in the Lumberyard Engine. CIG's Ben Parry answered. To answer these different parts separately, 1. Using this tech for ray casting vehicles physics. This is extremely unlikely. We generally minimize the amount of situations where the CPU code needs data back from the GPU, since a GPU frame runs sometime after the equivalent CPU frame, and the copy back to the CPU isn't instantaneous. You end up with data that's several frames out of date and often need to apply imperfect CPU fix-ups to the data to make it usable. Also bear in mind that the servers generally don't have GPU resources available at all, so we'd end up needing a CPU-based solution that perfectly matched it for that. And for anyone with an older GPU, which would be any GPU that's currently released, unfortunately, using it for graphics as a graphics coder, I'm obviously super excited about the possibilities that are opened up with this. It would be rash at this point to push the graphics schedule back in order to leverage the technology that isn't even out yet. And the cynical part of me is waiting for more information from other developers to tell me which holy grails are too hideously expensive to fit into a normal graphics pipeline. If we were to adopt a ray tracing approach, it is very likely it would be a drop-in replacement for some feature we already have, but done a little better rather than a brand new feature. That's a relatively good response from Ben in my opinion. Now, obviously, he doesn't know the entire overview of what Chris Roberts and the whole company wants to do when it comes to adopting new tech. They'll adopt whatever's sensible, and he says, well, if they do adopt it, it will be a drop-in replacement. It's not going to be a whole redone feature. And I think that's something that we worry about from backers of Star Citizen, that yes, we want the game to be great, as good as it can be. We don't want it to take forever to make. Okay, waiting for it, that's fine. I would very much like to have a beta for the game within 2.5 years. That would be great. But I don't want the tech to be constantly super redone for that. So Updates to it, great, but stuff constantly being redone, no, 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 no. Also, another question was asked about G-forces and when would we see lateral Gs back in the game. Apparently it's on the list of tasks to be looked at for 3.2, with a little bit more in-depth response given with the G-force component tracks acceleration and stress in all relative directions, simultaneously up, down, left, right, back, front. So technically speaking, lateral Gs haven't gone anywhere. In 3.0 and 3.1, the unconscious state is triggered by reaching maximum G stress on either up or down directions. Lateral Gs only trigger a mild screen effect, but no unconsciousness. It's up to design to decide what's next in the iteration of G-force effects. And for those of you wondering, it was confirmed that angular acceleration will generate G-forces. It is based on the offset of the rotation axis. In regards to agent smithing, so this is the taking over of NPCs on a friendly ship, which we actually talked about again recently. Disco Lando pitched in with the response. It's not been decided or ironed out yet. They're still exploring ideas, not a definitive design that's being implemented or developed yet. So we might be able to take control of friendly players, NPCs, if they let us in the future. We might not. They haven't decided yet. It's worth pointing out that this response is also referring to players being able to spawn in friendly beds as well. So in the shorter term, there's a potential that you will be able to join a friend that's playing Star Citizen by just literally spawning in their bed or spawning next to them, something like that. Obviously, that's not the long-term goal of the game, but short to medium term, for testing and ease of access with playing with your friends, it might make sense. Later this week, so there are going to be a ATV and RTV, and this week, so around the verse and reverse the verse, on shop item kiosks, as well as a Vandal Blade themed ship shape. I also suspect we'll be given updates on a few other ships too, but these shop item kiosks were said to be the main blocker a little while ago for ships being purchasable in the persistent universe with Alpha UEC. Now, we know that those ships and items and stuff that we get with Alpha UEC will be reset with every major and potentially minor patch, but just the potential to buy them in-game and then use them for a limited period gives us a little bit more persistence, gives us a little bit more hooks to playing the game. And I want CIG to confirm whether or not ships will be purchasable in-game with Alpha UEC in 3.2 for June. And because you're able to ask questions on these RTVs, I suggest people upvote that question on the thread, which I will, if I find, link below. Otherwise, feel free to ask that question if you want to ask it during the live stream. It's the most important question I can think of about the shop item kiosks and 3.2. So hopefully that will be answered during that RTV on Friday. Please tell me in the comments below if you had a different question that you think we should be asking about the shop item kiosks, or if you had any other comments on the topics we discussed today. Every month we have a Star Citizen vehicle giveaway. This time it's for a Tonk and Turtle, the Tumbril Nova and Anvil Terrapin, provided by our featured organisation, Talon's Outer Haven, a roleplay and exploration-focused organisation that's individual member-centric and like testing in the persistent universe. They have their own radio station too, and they're recruiting, so check out their org in the description below. But to be in for a chance of winning that pair of goodies, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and then comment on any of my videos made during May. Each video gives you another chance to win. Also, I'm working with Shadow, which is a cloud-based subscription gaming PC service that gives you an alternative to upgrading, but also as a gaming PC anywhere. I'm trying to make the service as Star Citizen friendly as possible, but please check that out again in the description below if you're interested, and using the promo code BoredGamer will give you a discount too if you decide that you like it. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe as it really does help me, and I'll see you in the verse.